Our topic today is how do you show up, stand up, and power up when you don't feel like it? And so I'm really excited to dive into this conversation because it's such a powerful time on the planet to be showing our light and to be authentic and real with what's going on. I'm happy to introduce you to awakening giant Ava Charlotte Larson Ruiz, who is back with us on this conversation today. And Ava is a peace emissary. She is a spiritual guide and teacher, and she is a mentor of all things transcendent. And so Ava, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me again, Sprite, Awakening Giants, and all of you out there. It's always a blessing and joy. And what a powerful subject we have today. Very powerful. Where I want to go with that to start with is, what is a leader? What really makes a leader? And we have the kind of leader that's sort of the self-proclaimed leader stepping up, saying, I have something, I walk this path, I know how to do this, so I can show you the way. And it's powerful and very valuable. And then you have the leader who embodies his or her own path, who walks a path that is truthful and right for that person and lives from that place in every aspect. And others see that and say, you have something I want. Can you show me? It's a different kind of leadership. Not right or wrong, good or bad, better or worse. They're just different. For those who are in the second category with the embodiment, it's irrelevant how to show up because you're always showing up where you are authentically in this moment. And that changes for all of us. Some days we're feeling strong and powerful and clear, and brilliance moves through us and people are in awe. And other days it's just not like that. And that's okay too. And being able to be okay with that, embracing that in ourselves and honoring this is where I'm at right now, showing up fully in that, speaking to that, being authentic and real in that is showing up, even if you don't want to, because it's not really, you're not doing something, you're being something. So whatever you're being is showing up. It is empowering and supporting others just by your very beingness. There's no sense of needing to be something you're not, or stepping into something for someone else in that moment because you're the leader and it's expected of you. It's sort of backwards in this way of leading, where it just naturally flows through you and you're responding to what's in this moment. It's like being the ocean always. And sometimes the ocean is very calm, and sometimes it's moving in a different way, and sometimes there are storms going on. And being able to be the whole ocean and responding to whatever waves are coming, there is no evaluation of this is good or this is bad. And I really don't want to today, so I have to kind of shift into something that's not here. You're here and you're always responding to whatever is moving within yourself and the world. And it becomes just a natural dance that is a beingness. It's the best way I can express it. That leadership is not a doing, it's a being. When we're leading from a point of view of mind and doing, we're at the surface of the ocean, and we have to be aware of in our conscious mind of all these waves and our own waves, and how to shift ourselves to respond to those waves. When you're able to sink into your whole being, not just staying at the surface and in the rational mind, but embodying it, feeling it, being the depth of the ocean, coming home to yourself here and now in this moment, then you don't have to think. You don't have to control or rationalize or figure out what do I do next, because it moves. It just moves naturally. So this whole stepping out of that what do I do now? And just, what am I now? What am I now? And know that that is leading not only you, but others, those who wants to be led by that. And that's the natural leadership, just leading those who chooses to follow you, as opposed to finding followers. And you can support them tremendously just by being you.
Beautiful, Ava. I have so many questions that are popping up as I'm listening to you. And, one of my questions is, I think there might be people on the planet. I wasn't one of them, by the way, but I think there are people on the planet who grew up with a more of a sense of who I am is okay. And when you grow up with trauma, what I did, grew up with trauma, and often people, when you grow up with trauma, you grow up with an inner voice that says, who I am is not okay. If I'm showing up as me, I'm not okay. And I learned to be the chameleon and shift to every person and everything because I grew up with that message that I was not okay. And I've had to learn, how to overcome that. And I still, to this day, have to remind myself at times, I'm okay. Just being here in my body, and I'm safe to be in my body. So I'm just wondering if you have a tip or step or something that you can share with us about either what you've done, that you know of, that is helpful for someone who is having that trouble of feeling it's okay to be embodied in my body right now.
So relates, right? I grew up similarly and have lived with that voice for a great part of my life. And that voice still lives in me, that I have no value and nothing to give and all of that. But through a long journey, I've come to realize that that is the voice of the past. It's the voice of all the experiences my body and my mind has gone through this life. And it's not truth. The voice can be there, and it speaks in our heads. It creates emotions and reactions and all that stuff, which is part of being human. But to not identify with that voice can come up in me, like, who do you think you are? Who would listen to you? Or something like that. And allowing that voice to be there and acknowledging that little girl that felt that way and embracing her. Her voice is valid for her, but I'm not her any longer. I'm a grown-up woman now, and I can practice having a voice, even if the little girl feels not so good. Embrace her, love her, let her be there, let her have her opinion, but also know that you can have a different opinion, and that's a choice. It takes practice to step into a different voice and say, well, maybe that was true then, but I'm going to try anyway. And I'm going to tell myself a different story. Consciously, here and now, in this moment, today, I'll tell myself something else. When that voice come up, I will tell myself what makes me feel better now. I do have something to say, and whoever aligns with that will, and those who do not, it doesn't matter. It matters what I feel. So I will express my voice because that is my truth and it feels good for me, and that's okay. And it really is that simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, and it will feel really awkward at first. But over time it doesn't, and then that becomes a new normal. And maybe the voice of the little girl or boy never goes away, and it doesn't matter. They're part of our lived experience, and whatever they felt at that time was completely natural. There was a survival mechanism in that moment. But now we're choosing something else. And when you tell yourself something that makes you feel good, that's how you feel. That's what everyone around you will feel, and your life will change.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's it. I mean, that's it right there, right? When I don't feel like it, how do you show up, stand up, and empower up when you don't feel like it? So that's a powerful tip you just gave us. Yay. Thank you, Ava. We're going to keep exploring this conversation now of how do you show up, stand up, and empower up when you don't feel like it. And we're going to explore this journey further with Pamela Kirkpatrick. Pamela Kirkpatrick is a builder of nonprofits that are still running today. For many years, she's supported so many people around the U.S. With nonprofits and charities. And she is also a singer and a songwriter, and she's a sound healer. And she specifically now is helping take people on journeys and discovering their frequency of prosperity through sound, which I just love. So Pamela, share with us today your tips around showing up, standing up, and empowering up when you don't feel like it.
Thank you, Sprite. It's, as always, a pleasure to be able to share my heart and my thoughts with our community and the globe, our global community. I think we have a really unique opportunity, and many of us have been feeling into this for eons. This is it. This is this moment right now. In every moment is the time to show up, stand up, and empower up. And so to our point of the discussion, how do you do that when you just plain don't feel like it? I keep thinking about Shakespeare. I'm a classically trained actress among some of the other things that I did. And I think about to thine own self be true, and that the world is a stage. And a lot of us find that inner voice of the little child or the voice of fear and danger, they actually have a place, a very powerful place in this moment. But it's how do we choose to respond to those promptings? Do we go into that monkey mind chatter of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough? You are enough. I am enough. And to talk about Ava's delineating the kinds of leadership, so many of us are looking to what we don't have. I mean, I've made a joke of it right now about, do you have enough toilet paper? But, that isn't how we're going to define ourselves in this time. But rather than tuning in and focusing on what we don't have, how about if we look at who am I in this moment and what do I have? And how can I repurpose what I have to guide me? And what I've been thinking about is I frankly am a little bit tired of hearing everybody preach about how to live and what to do and how to be and how to get there. There's a lot of ways to get there. When the missionaries used to come to our front door, my late husband used to say, I'll listen to you if you listen to me. And one of the things that I loved about what he used to say is he would ask the person speaking, have you ever taken your family to Disney World? They would say yes, usually. Well, how do you drive there? And they'd say, oh, well, I take the highway and I go like this and I go directly there. And my husband would say, now me, I prefer to take the back roads. It takes me a little bit longer, but the view along the way is really beautiful and it suits my soul. And so I think what I'm finding myself doing is honoring myself more. And even especially when I don't feel like showing up, I look into that mirror, I look into my own soul and I say, what am I doing? And maybe if I can share how I am honoring myself, how I am boosting my immune system, how some of the practices along the way, that it can be like a guidebook. And as Ava so aptly put it, that people can choose if they respond to that and they want to follow. It's about holding the light. It's about being the light, the eternal flame, which all of us are. And the absurdity of everything in my mind, what I just sometimes really have a hard time, putting my arms around and my mind around and my heart around is who bought into this notion, this crazy notion that we're separate. We breathe each other's breath. The sound of every beating heart of every sentient being on this planet, whatever your belief system is, if you believe in other galaxies and other lives, it really doesn't matter. The song of who we are and the sound of who we are is very powerful. So I would say to thine own self be true, and feel into what feels right to you in this moment. And sometimes that may be saying, like, I'm a person who is generally very kind and giving. And, in my past, I used to resonate with the need to fix everything and fix everyone and fix myself. Honor yourself. I am absolutely perfect in this moment, just the way I am. And so, what I would say to you, if I could say any kind of a tip, is allow yourself to be still. When you find that wah, 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 wah overwhelm of being an intuitive soul and picking up on the collective angst that's going on, just stop. Rub your palms together, create some heat and friction, and inhale deeply. And in one breath, you can bring yourself to a place of peace and allow yourself to choose from a place of peace.
Pamela, thank you so much. And, that tip, you've shared it with us before, and it's so relevant for everything, so I'm so grateful you keep sharing it with us, because it's these like little pattern interrupts that can really make a difference, right? And I know I have one that I've taught to teachers that I worked with in Liberia, right, post-war, and so they had lots of anxiety and lots of like real trauma in their physical bodies. And one of the pattern interrupts that I learned from a yoga teacher is that, all of that wah wah that you talk about, it affects the limbic part of the brain, which is the fear, and where the fear and anxiety and stuff comes up. And if you just stand on one foot, which is tree pose in yoga, right? You just stand on one foot, it immediately takes you out of the limbic brain. And so again, it's like these little tips, these little pattern interrupts. It's like, okay, rub your hands together or stand on one foot, or just recognize a choice, like what Ava was saying. So ladies, thank you so much for being with us here again today, and another incredible opportunity to be a part of a giant's journey. That giant journey is one that we all get to take if we choose to find that powerful potential within ourselves to transcend to the greatest fulfillment and greatest purpose that we're really here for. We hope to have you back again. We'll see you next time. If you have a question, comment down below. And if you have an idea for a future topic, please let us know. Also, while you're here, you might want to check out some of our other inspirational episodes. And please subscribe so you never miss a hot, juicy, giant topic.